Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we're going to be focusing mostly on larger compound movements. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and feel comfortable to pause the stream should you need to take 5. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to start off for today's class taking a step or two towards the back end of the mat so that you've got enough room to take a side lunge towards the front of the mat. You're going to stand up nice and tall, tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, start connecting to your core, and give me the longest U that you can manage. You're going to place your hands on your hips, and you're going to begin with an external rotation, opening up one leg towards the front end of the mat. Sweeping in circular motions with the knee, tracing more or less 10 big circles, externally rotating. Once you've traced 10 circles, you're going to change it up and you're going to move in the opposite direction. Shooting for 10 internal rotations. Once you've completed, you're going to start swinging that leg back and forth, and you can drive simultaneously with the arms. Big sweeping motions. Now we're going to start playing with a big side lunge. You're going to take a step to the side and you're going to drive as you come back. Using your arms, think running man. You're going to shoot for 10 side lunges. Maybe exhale as you drive the knee in. Take an inhale as you step out. Let's do 2 more. Once you've completed the last one, you're going to take a step towards the top end of the mat so that you can lunge to the other side. Place your hands on your hips and begin with that external rotation through the hip. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to change it up. Internally rotate through the hip. Keep standing up nice and tall. Think shoulders, hips, knees, ankles beautifully stacked on your supportive side. When you're ready, you're going to begin with that swinging motion back and forth, and you can drive with the arms, or if you prefer, you can keep the arms on the hips. When you're ready, you're going to think of taking that side lunge. Take a nice step out to the side of the room and then driving in with the knee as you come in, almost as if you wanted to bob your knee towards your nose. Last one. You're going to pivot to face the front end of the mat, and you're going to give me some parallel roll downs. Standing up nice and tall with your feet looking towards the front of the mat, stacking underneath your hips, tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in. Start with your chin line parallel to the floor. On an exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Hollow out your belly and start peeling down one vertebra at a time. Then retrace your path back, restacking and realigning your body. Find a steady rhythm of your own. Make sure that you're working with the breath. So take an inhale to prepare, then use a whole exhale to peel down with control. Take a recovery inhalation and use a whole exhale to peel back up. Make sure that you're standing more or less in the middle of your mat so that you've got enough room to lunge forward and backward. We're going to start playing with a little sequence. One last roll down. Then we'll play with a little sequence on the right side of the body. Think of coming into a warrior 3 frame. You're going to open up the arms into T as you come into the tabletop line, floating the right leg behind you. Come back to your start position. Take a lunge step forward. Take a lunge step backwards. Rinse and repeat. Warrior 3 balance. Coming into a tabletop line, shoulders and hips parallel to the floor. Stand up nice and tall. Take a lunge step forward with the right leg. And then a lunge step backwards. We're going to do 3 more. Find your warrior 3 tabletop line. Peel back to standing. Lunge forward. Lunge backwards. Last 2. Warrior 3. Lunge forward. Lunge backward. Last one. Find your tabletop warrior 3. Nice beautiful T-shape through the arms today. Then lunge it forward, lunge it backwards. Come back to standing and give me a heel lift and lower, connecting your heels to the mat every time you come down, looking for length and an almost pull-up action through the inner thighs and the lower abdominals as you connect the heels to the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep your legs in parallel. You're going to fist the hands and you're going to squeeze the 2 palms together as you bump back into a mini squat line. So you're going to think of sitting back into an imaginary chair, but don't bump the weight forward into your knees. Bump the weight back into your bum and your heels. And at the same time, think of pulsing actively into the palms of your hands so that you can feel the arms working, the chest working, the upper back and the shoulders working. Exhale as you sit down. Inhale as you stand up. Let's do 3, 2. Last one. We're going to come back into those heel lifts, but this time you're going to float the arms out in front. And when you come down, hover your heels just off the floor. Starting with the arms alongside your body, floating them up to about shoulder height. And then hovering your heels just off the floor as you come back down. So a lot more inner thigh work, a lot more lower abdominal connection. Inhale as you float up. Exhale as you float to your hovering foot position. Let's do 2 more. Last one. We're going to repeat that little sequence on the other side. Find your tabletop warrior 3, opening up the arms into a little T frame. Stand up nice and tall, and then lunge forward with the left leg. Come back, lunge back with the left leg. Warrior 3 balance. And don't rush the movement. Make sure you're controlling. Lunge forward, lunge backward. Warrior 3. Lunge forward, lunge backwards. Let's do 2 more. Find a steady rhythm of your own. I'm setting a moderate pace, but feel free to speed it up or to slow it down, but make sure that you're working with control and that you're not wobbling all over the place. Easier said than done sometimes. Do the best that you can. All right, as you complete the last one, you're going to come into those little heel floats. This time, we're going to connect first to the mat, looking for that inner thigh connection, looking for that lower abdominal work. Let's do 4, 3, 2. You're going to think of setting up your little chair line from here. Interlace your hands, make a little fist, bump the weight back into your bum and your heels and pulse actively into your palms as you sit back into that chair. Every time you exhale and sit into the chair, try to bring your leg line more parallel to the floor on each iteration so that you really feel those glutes and those legs working. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one. If you're on the tall side, take a step towards the top end of the mat so that you've got enough room to step back into a plank line. We're going to do a burpee walkthrough. Float your hands overhead, take a little stretch, soften through the knees, place your hands on the floor and step back into a plank. Step up one leg at a time, and then as you stand, float the hands overhead. You're going to rinse and repeat, alternating the leg that you're stepping up with every time. If you're feeling strong, you can give me more of a dynamic movement and you can hop the legs back into a plank hop the legs back up, and come into a full burpee movement. Play where you're comfortable, either playing with a full complete burpee, or maybe just sticking to the step up if you want to play at a more moderate rate today, alternating the leg that you're stepping up and back with each successive round. Let's do one more. We're going to end in a plank line. Hold your plank steady. You're going to alternate between your plank and a little push-up with an alternating shoulder tap. Push-up, tap, tap. Push-up, tap, tap. And you can take the legs and the arms as wide as you need to be able to keep your body line as parallel to the mat as you can comfortably manage. If you find a full plank is not working for you, modify in 4-point kneeling, giving me a little shoulder tap and then a mini push-up. But make sure you're giving me a long back line, belly button pulled into center, wherever it is you decide to play. Shoot for 10 repetitions if you can. So one push-up with an alternating tap to each shoulder completes one repetition. Keep belly button to spine. Last one. As you complete the last one, come into a high kneeling frame. Shoulders, hips, knees stacked, feet soft and relaxed behind you, feet stacking behind your knees. Place your hands palms down on the top of your thighs. As you dip off the center line, float the hands up to about shoulder height, trying to shoot for a long, stretchy line from the top of your thighs through the lower belly, ending just underneath your breast line. Use your breath. Inhaling and exhaling and syncing your movements to your breath. You can play it up. Maybe exhaling as you dip off the center line and inhaling as you come back. Let's do 2 more. Then we're going to come back into that plank line and we'll play with a little bit of rotational movement. Find your plank line, hands stacking underneath your shoulders, feet long and extended behind you. Flip into a side plank, knife edging your feet and opening up the arms into T. Alternate side to side, pausing in the plank line as you transition. Shoot for 10 repetitions if you can. One open up to each side completes 1 repetition. Find a pace that's sustainable for you. Keep your hips up nice and high, so try not to drop and collapse your frame towards the mat as you play. Keep belly to spine the whole time that you play. Last one. Find your way into a hovering knee position, a hovering tabletop bear position, and hold for 10. Long line through the spine, not dropping your head, keeping your gaze down on the mat between your 2 thumbs, belly button pulled into spine. 5, 4, 3, 2. Drop down into a tabletop position. You can relax the feet behind you, or you can keep the toes tucked under. You're going to open up into a little fire hydrant on the left, opening and closing the knee, and then coming back into a hovering knee position on the moving side. Trying to keep your tabletop nice and strong, so try not to collapse through the neckline. If you need to, open up the arms a little bit wider so that your weight distribution is equal on the arms. Come back to your tabletop position and take a mini lunge step forward with the left leg, floating the arms out in front. And then bring it into a little hamstring stretch, bumping the weight back into your heels, floating the arms behind you and extending the front leg, and then begin moving dynamically between your modified lunge and your hamstring stretch. Use your breath. Shooting for roughly 10 repetitions, if you can manage it. Try to open up that little tight kink behind the lead knee every time you come into the little hamstring stretch. Last one, we're going to repeat that sequence. Find your way back into your plank line. We're going to play with that plank, rotating side to side, transitioning through the plank line. Make sure you're not collapsing your body towards the mat as you rotate. So try to keep those hips piked up. Let's do one more to each side. Then we'll come into that hovering bear hold from here. Make sure your hands are stacking underneath your shoulders. Draw your knees into a hovering tabletop position and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. Drop your knees to the mat. Relax the feet behind you and start opening up into a little fire hydrant on the right. Make sure that you open up your arms a little bit wider if you need to so that your weight distribution is equal on both arms. Open up the right knee to the side of the room, more or less in line with your hip, and then float it back to a hovering position just off the mat. 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to take a big lunge step forward with the right leg, floating the arms out in front, just in line with your shoulders. And then sweep the arms back, bump the hips back, extend the front leg, peeling the toes up off the mat, and begin moving dynamically between the little modified lunge, kneeling lunge, and your hamstring stretch. Keep belly to spine the whole time that you're playing. And just find a steady rhythm that works for you. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one. We're going to find our way into the seated frame once you've completed the last one. Sit up nice and tall towards the top end of the mat with enough room to play. Feet extended in parallel, nice and active, arms at your side, and we'll use a little fisted line for the first one. So just sit up nice and tall first. Float the arms out in front, find a staff position, and then fist your hands, connect your knuckles to the mat, bring your hands back just behind your hip line, bend the knees, push up into a tabletop line, and then repeat the sequence, sitting up nice and tall, fisting the hands as you push up into a tabletop line. Try to sit up as tall as you can, think shoulders over hips in the seated frame. When you're in the tabletop position, try to keep your feet and your knees hip-width distance apart and bump your hips up evenly towards the ceiling. So try not to lead with one side of the body. Make sure when you're in the tabletop position that you're not leaning aggressively into either the arms or the legs. So try to keep the weight distribution equal on the arms and the legs. You're going to end in the little tabletop position, and you can play with the hand position when you're in the tabletop position. So you can have fingertips forward, fingertips out to the side, or fingertips looking behind you, whichever feels the most comfortable. Push up into the tabletop line and take 3 steps towards the top end of the mat, and then 3 steps back. Let's do that twice more. Then drop your bum down to the mat and give me a little tricep move, bending through the elbows, allowing your bum to hover just off the floor, and then pushing back up midway. So not quite into the tabletop line. Last one. Sit up nice and tall at the front of the mat. Make sure that you've got enough room to extend your legs. Begin with the knees bent and the soles of the feet connected. We're going to play with a roll down. So if you know your mat is thin, if you've got a sensitive spine or a pronounced curvature of the lower back, place some padding where you're going to need it for the lower back. Sit up nice and tall, float the hands out in front. On an active exhale, nod your chin towards your chest, hollow out your belly, round out the back and connect one vertebra at a time to the mat. Float the hands overhead, but don't drop them to the floor. Inhale to prepare, halfway lift. Exhale, reach through your fingertips, root through your feet and come back up. Find your bent leg roll down first. And when this feels good, we're going to start playing. The next time you sit up, drag and extend into the heels and then roll down with an extended leg line. Keeping that control through the core. Peel back up. As you sit back up, bend the knees and connect the soles of the feet. And then roll your next one down with a bent leg. Peel back up. As you come into a sitting frame, extend the legs, pushing actively into the feet. So you're trying to look for an inner thigh and a lower abdominal connection as you play with that foot line. Bending and extending dynamically, making your movement a little bit more compound today. Play where you're comfortable. Find a steady rhythm that works for you and make sure that you're not rushing through the movement. When you're rolling down, whether your legs are extended or bent, make sure that you're using your core and not your shoulder weight to bring yourself down with control onto the mat. Use your breath. Make sure that you're gazing in towards your belly button, both on the roll down and more importantly, on the roll up. Peeling up and down with control and using your feet actively to find a deeper connection between the inner thighs and really firing up those abdominals. Let's do 3 more. Last one, last set, should I say. You're going to give me one last bent leg roll down to connect to the mat. And as you connect to the mat, if you do have any padding underneath your back, just scooch the feet closer, lift your bum up off the mat, and slip the padding out of the way. We're going to play with a little pelvic tilt, and then we're going to marry it with some bridge work. Let's find the tilt first. Bend your knees and connect the soles of the feet to the mat. Arms long and relaxed at your side, palms down. Make sure that the feet are not too far away from your body. Scooch the heels in closer towards your bum line so that at the apex of your bridge, you've got your knees and your ankles aligned. All right. Begin in a neutral spine position with a little space between your lower back and the mat. Let's find our tilt position first. You're going to lift your you're going to think of scooping or rounding out your body, tilting your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position so that your lower back imprints into the mat. At the moment, your bum and your tailbone are still softly connected to the mat. Bring it back to neutral. Just play with the tilt twice more, finding that little tilt through the pelvis, the connection of your lower back to the mat, and then bring it back to neutral. Once you've found the tilt, you can begin playing. Give me one tilt and come back to neutral. The next time you tilt, keep peeling your tailbone up off the mat and peel up into a bridge line, piking your hips up towards the ceiling, activating your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, and keeping that belly active. Then lead with the rib cage, keep that contraction in the core, lead with the back of your ribs to reconnect to your mat. Find your way back into neutral. One pelvic tilt, come back to neutral. Then tilt and peel up into a bridge line, peeling up all the way, pausing at the apex of your bridge, holding, looking for that work through the glutes, hamstrings, quads, belly. Then lead with the back of your ribs as you peel back down to the mat, finding your way into neutral. Tilt, neutral. Tilt to peel up into a bridge hold. Articulate up one vertebra at a time, make sure you control it. Lead with the ribs as you come back down. Find neutral. Tilt, neutral. Tilt to peel up into your bridge hold. Peel back down, last one. We're going to hold our last bridge line and we're going to play. Tilt, come back to neutral. Tilt and peel up into your bridge line. Hold your bridge or start playing with a little marching bridge, bringing up one knee at a time into a tabletop position, stopping when your knee is stacking over your hip and trying to keep your bridge line on the leg that's connected to the mat. So one-legged marching bridge, keeping your chin tucked softly towards your chest and trying not to look to the side of the room. Come back to your bridge hold, pause for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, articulate back down with control, leading with the back of your ribs, keeping that contraction in the core as you peel back down. Once you found your way back into neutral spine, we're going to play with a little crunch line. You're going to place your right hand, fingertips down on your sternum, and you're going to tuck the left hand in half a surrender behind your head. Start with a neutral spine. You're going to tilt your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position so that your lower back imprints. You're going to scoop to peel up off the shoulders. Press down softly on your sternum so it feels like you're almost collapsing your chest. Scooping up, looking down towards your belly button. Inhale to float back down. 4 more on this side. Pausing, holding that line, maybe for 3 or 4 seconds before peeling back down. Watch that you're not yanking on the head and pulling your elbow in as you come up. So the hand behind your head is there just to support the weight of your head and help you to forge a stronger connection with your abdominals as you come up into the half a crunch line. One more like this, then we're going to change sides. Peel back down and change hands. Left hand on your sternum, right hand tucked behind the head. Give me 5 crunches in your own time. Give me the flattest belly that you can as you scoop up into the little crunch. So think of flattening out your belly. Now double up, both hands behind your head. Flat belly as you peel up. Elbows stay wide. And you're looking down towards your pubis or your belly button as you come into the crunch. Last one. Float back to a neutral resting position, but keep the hands behind your head. We're going to play out the next one, and we're going to come into a little tabletop position. As you scoop to peel up off the shoulders, draw one leg in at a time into a tabletop, and then reconnect one leg at a time as you come back to your start position. If you've got the motion going, you can scoop up both legs together and drop them to the mat simultaneously. Play with it, either drawing both legs simultaneously into the tabletop crunch and bringing them back down to the mat at the same time, or bringing up one leg at a time and dropping one leg at a time to come back. Dealer's choice, find what works for you. 2 more. You're going to end for me in the scooped position with the hands behind your head, and you're going to bicycle forward, trying to keep that contraction, lower back imprinted, weight just off the shoulders, about 2 fingers of air between your chin and your chest. 3, 2, last one. Float down to the mat. Extend the legs towards the ceiling. Keep the hands behind your head in a surrender fashion if you can. If this is uncomfortable, you can tuck your hands palms down underneath your bum for support, or you could use your hand towel and wedge it underneath your bum. We're going to work the double straight leg stretch, dropping the legs down maybe halfway, then bending the knees and cycling back up to your start position. If you're feeling nice and strong through the core and the back, you can give me a wider range of motion, cycling the knees back in to come back to your start position. I want you to control through the abdominals. Keep your chin line soft and relaxed. Don't tense through the neck or the jaw. Keep the work in your belly and your core. Don't take it to your neck. Let's do 3 more. Last one. Scoop to peel up off the shoulders. Come back to your tabletop position and give me a reverse cycle, bracing and kicking into your heels. 8, 6, 4, 2, last one. Drop back down to the mat. You're going to think of giving me a reverse cycle from here, extending the legs and then cycling them back in, either working at about a 75-degree angle, or you can work lower to the mat if you're feeling strong. Play where you're comfortable, but make sure that you're keeping the work in the abdominals and that you're not transferring to the head and the neck. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one. Drop into your bridge setup. Take a recovery breath or 2. Drop the arms at your side long and lengthened. We're going to come into a single leg stretch from here. Scooping to peel up off the shoulders, drawing one leg to table and extending the one at 75. You're going to brace into the bent leg, and then you're going to alternate bending one leg, extending the other. Today, we almost softly drawing the knees in towards the chest. Exhaling as you tap the wall with your extended leg, inhaling to transition. Let's change it up. Tuck the hands behind your head and give me a soft rotational movement through the obliques, thinking knee to opposite armpit as you twist with control through the trunk. Don't force the twist. Don't throw your head and your shoulder weight. 2 more. Last set. Tuck both knees in to a tight little ball, and then open up and then scoop the arms around. Open up into V, scoop the arms around. 5, 4, 3. Trying to keep that scoop position with your shoulders off the mat. Then work a soft little scissoring action, maybe dropping one leg to 75 while drawing the other to 90, or working wider. You can't reach behind your thighs, tuck your hands behind your head in that surrender-like fashion that we were playing with earlier on. Play where you're comfortable. 3, 2, last one. Drop back down to the mat. Bend your left leg. Connect the sole of the foot to the floor and just hug the right knee in towards the chest. Then see if you can extend the right leg, maybe holding behind your thigh, or if your range of motion allows, you're going to take a big toe lock on the right leg. If you can't extend the leg and hold onto the toe, use a strap or a hand towel and just feed it around the foot so that you can keep control of the movement. You're going to extend that right leg, maybe T-shaping the left hand palm down or up. If this feels good and your lower back doesn't need support, you're going to extend the left leg and you're going to brace actively into the foot. Take a little stretch here for at least 10 or 20 seconds, trying to iron out that little kink behind the right knee. Then take a big breath in and open up the right leg to the side of the room while you look to the left. Don't worry about how close that foot's coming to the floor. Just try to keep your left shoulder and your left bum connected to the mat. So you're stabilizing on the opposite side of the body. Holding for about 10 to 20 seconds in the bead line. Then bring yourself softly back towards the midline. Change hands. You're going to come into a little twist. As you draw the right leg over towards the left side, as it crosses your hip line, bump the left hip underneath you so that you can get more rotation, almost stacking the right hip on top of the left. Only taking the twist as far as your back wants to play. Try to keep your right shoulder blade anchored to the mat. Then bend both legs as you come back towards the center line. Maybe take a little cradle rock side to side. Come back to your tabletop position, keeping the feet and the knees about hip-width distance apart. Brace behind your thighs. Brace actively into your feet. You're going to rock up into a little ball and roll back down. We're going to play with rockers, so you're keeping the feet and the knees about hip-width distance apart, keeping your feet active, trying to hover them off the floor. As you think of rocking back, pretend somebody's pushing on your sternum, round out your spine, rock back as far as your shoulder blades and back up. 2 more. You're going to end seated. Extend the legs, coming into a soft forward fold, and then draw back. You can push softly onto the top of your thighs and then almost hug your shins and your knees into your chest as you sit back up. Trying to dynamically open up the back chain of your legs as you come into the soft forward fold. Make sure that you're not pushing on the knee joint itself, but maybe just softly pressing down on your shin bones. You don't want to hurt those knees. Then sitting up nice and tall, opening up your feet so that they're about hip-width distance apart. We're going to play with a little spine stretch and we'll layer this exercise. Sit up nice and tall, float the hands overhead. On an exhale, round out as if you had a beach ball on your top of your thighs and you were stretching over it. So you're hollowing out your belly. Drop your fingertips to the mat. Then think of drawing your fingertips towards your hip line as you restack and realign your shoulders over your hips and give me a long spine. Let's do that twice more. Big breath in. Hollow out over your beach ball. Pause. Then drag your fingertips towards the hip line and start lengthening through your spine as if somebody was pulling your crown towards the ceiling. 1 more. Big breath in. Round out. Now, instead of dragging towards your hip line, drag towards the top of the mat and try to look towards the top end of the mat. Then reverse the movement. Hollow out your belly as you drag the fingertips towards your hip line, restack and realign. Round out, reach forward, look over the top of your mat, hollow out. Now start lengthening through your spine. Big breath in, float your hands overhead, hollow out your belly over your ball. Stretch towards the top end of the mat, pause. Now float your hands off the mat. Frame them alongside your ears and look between the 2 hands, adding a little back extension. Drop your fingertips to the mat. Hollow out your belly as you start drawing the fingertips back, restack and realign. Let's do that one last time. Big breath in. Hollow out your belly. Drag your fingertips towards the top end of the mat, looking off the front edge. Then float the hands up. Shoot for more extension. Think long line from the lower back towards the nape of your neck and look between the two arms. Then drop your fingertips to the mat. Start hollowing out your belly. Then start straightening up your back line. Bend the knees. Connect the soles of the feet to the mat. Hover your feet off the mat. Hug the knees in as tight as you can. And give me 5 rolling like a ball. Trying to hover your feet preferably off the mat. Or you can softly connect them to the mat every time you rock up. Just going to give me 5 rolls back and forth. We're going to end on the back. And we're going to repeat that little stretch to the other side. Dropping the right foot to the mat, keeping the knee bent. Hugging the left knee in towards the chest. Then extending the leg towards the ceiling. If that feels good, find your big toe lock or use your strap to connect to the undercarriage of your foot. Try to relax both shoulders into the mat. Find your A-line stretch. If you feel good here and your lower back doesn't need support, extend the right leg as well and brace into that heel. Give yourself at least 10 to 20 seconds here. Relaxing your inhalation and your exhalation cycle. And then when you're ready, you're going to think of opening up into the B-line stretch. Float your leg open to the left while you look to the right. And try to keep your body on the right side connected to the mat. So your right shoulder blade and your right bum cheek stay connected to the mat as you open up into the B-line stretch. Give yourself at least 10 to 20 seconds here, just enjoying the stretch. Don't focus on how close your left foot is coming to the floor as you open up. Just focus on keeping yourself anchored on the right-hand side, even if this means that you're only coming just off the center line. Keep control of the movement. Then think of coming back towards the midline, changing hands. You're going to come into a little twist. As you cross over the hip line, bump the right hip underneath you so that you can get more rotation through the hips. Only taking the twist as far as your body wants to play. Holding for between 10 and 20 seconds. Trying to keep your anchoring shoulder, so your left shoulder, connected to the mat. Peel back towards the center line, bending both knees. Connect the soles of your feet to the mat. Maybe take it into a little cradle rock. If you want to, you can bend and extend for maybe 5 counts, just opening up those kinks behind your knees. And then when you're ready, you can take it into rocker. Find your tabletop position with your brace behind the thighs. Feet stay active. Rock up just off your tailbone. Pretend somebody's pushing on your chest. Hollow out your belly, round out your spine. Rock back as far as your shoulder blades and back up. Just shooting for maybe 5 little rocker movements back and forth. And seated, make sure you've got enough room in front. You're going to extend and bend the legs, keeping your feet actively. So you're bracing into the heels of your feet, finding that inner thigh connection and that lower abdominal connection as you extend and bend. You can keep your hands on the floor if you prefer and just bend and extend through the legs. But keep belly to spine, whether you're using your hands on the floor or hands on your shins. All right, last one. Sit up nice and tall. Open up your feet so that they're about hip-width distance apart. Let's play with that spine stretch. Big breath in. Hollow out over that imaginary beach ball on your lap. Pause. Look for that hollow belly. Then restack, realign as you draw the fingertips back towards your body line. Big breath in. Hollow out. Draw the hands back. Big breath in. Hollow out. This time, drag your fingertips forward. Look over the front end of your mat. Then hollow out your belly. Start realigning your spine. Big breath in. Float your hands overhead. Hollow out over your ball. Drag your fingertips forward. Look off the front of your mat. Hollow out your belly. Then start dragging back towards the center line. One last iteration. Big breath in. Hollow out your belly. Drag your fingertips forward. Now start lengthening through the spine as you float the hands up in line with your ears and look through your hands to the wall in front of you. Drop your fingertips to the mat. Hollow out your belly. Start restacking and realigning as you come back up. Let's do that whole sequence twice more. Big breath in. Hollow out your belly as you drop your fingertips to the mat. Slide your fingertips forward. Float your hands up. Look between the two hands to the wall in front of you. Lengthen from your tailbone towards the nape of your neck. Drop your fingertips to the mat. Hollow out your belly. Then restack and realign. One last spine stretch. Big breath in. Hollow out your belly. Reach forward. Float the hands up, looking between the two hands. Drop your fingertips to the mat. Hollow out your belly. Then restack and realign. Bend your knees, connect the soles of the feet, and end off your practice for today. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I really do hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Remember to shoot me your comments below. Make sure that your notifications for this channel are always on, and be ready for yoga on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.